Hello, and welcome back to Let's Play The Elder Scrolls 3 Morrowind, Game of the Year Edition. In our last video, Fedar explored Shunned Shipwreck and Telvain Ancestral Tomb. Now, as promised, it's time to advance the plot, but not before I take care of something that I really should have taken care of a long time ago. Fedar recently found this Amulet of Light and tried it out on a rat. It did not work. It was very disappointing. Let's see what happens when it does work. The difference is day and night. I'll see myself out. But no, really, that is really nice. Now, there are some drawbacks to using the Amulet of Light, and there's one of them. The spell's duration has already elapsed. It lasts for 15 seconds. Additionally, it is on target, so it won't follow Fedar around. I can use it on Esther Dahlin here, if she'll hold still. And she is now the source of light, which is why...
Warm greetings, Outlander. Care to peruse my spell?
We're not really getting any over here. We can see that as she moves, it moves, and that's nice, but what are the chances of some target following Fedar around everywhere indefinitely, as he would need? Finally, this is an enchanted item, so it has a charge. And to keep it charged, Fedar would have to start using soul gems and soul trap, and that is a whole game mechanic that I don't want to get into right now. I will, because it is an essential part of how I want to play the game. But in the meantime, it would just complicate things, so it'll come later. The reason I had to resort to the Amulet of Light, the reason I was so excited about seeing it, is that Fedar simply doesn't have access to the light spell yet. He hasn't run across anybody who would sell it to him. And that's a consequence of the way I play the game. I don't usually want to visit a settlement unless I'm ready to really visit the settlement and get to know everybody and look in all the houses and all the nooks and crannies and everything. Well, I think it might be time to make an exception to that. And so we are going to head to the Mages Guild in Caldera. Luckily, there's a nice, easy way to get that done, where I don't have to even run through town. Let's talk to our local guild guide.
Welcome, friend. The day is yours. What shall we talk about?
We can go straight to the Caldera Guild of Mages. So let's do it.
Welcome, Dunmer. Let's set aside our differences and talk, shall we?
And we did that because Araemian here will teach light. Now, before I do that, I would love to be perfect friends, of course. And why not? After all, we're both fine, upstanding citizens in the Mages Guild, and Certainly you've heard of my exploits back in Balmora. He has. There we go. 100 disposition. Thank you kindly. That saved us a few gold pieces on that light spell. And now Fedar knows it. Alright, let's get back to Balmora.
You seem like very good company.
I am, and I now need to prove that to you through admiration. Why not have 100 disposition with her as well? I'll tell you why not. Because it's proving to be difficult, but you know, that is all right. This is all practice in speechcraft, which will affect Fedar's personality attribute. Your speechcraft skill increased to 61. Like I said, And every little bit helps. Ooh, 96. That was pretty close. We'll get there. Fedar is nothing if not persistent and mildly likable. I don't know what Fedar's doing here. I don't know if he's talking politics or what, but this is all over the place. There we are, 100. That'll do. And if we take a look at his speechcraft skill, I mean, just, we saw that increase to 61, and already, it threw me off a bit because he's at 62 out of 100 to 62. And I was going, wait, what? But yeah, already just that extra few seconds of chit-chat. He's 2/3 of the way to another level in speechcraft. Awesome. Anyway, let's get back. Balmora Guild of Mages. So now Fedar knows the light spell.
Welcome, friend. The day is yours. What shall we talk about?
Let's give it a test. It is light 20 points for 30 seconds in 30 feet on target. Now that is a bit different from what the Amulet of Light will do. Note, I am not going to aim at a specific person. I'm actually going to aim like right in the middle here and see what happens to Estradalen and Sharn. They were both affected. That's why it's really bright in here. And that light is going to follow Estradalen around, and Sharn if she were to move, which is why we see the light moving. Now, unlike the Amulet of Light's target, this spell's target has a radius, thus giving it an area of effect. So it landed here and affected everybody within the specified radius. But again, there's that trashy duration. It has already elapsed. So we are plunged into darkness once again. We should do something about that. Alright, if we go back to the old-fashioned torches, this is about what we get. It helps. I've used them before, especially in dungeons. They make a difference. But, they expire, they're heavy, you have to keep them on hand, all that stuff. We can do better than that. And the way we will is by talking to Estradalen and doing something that we have not yet done.
Oh, greetings. How do you do? Maybe talk?
Yes, today is a day of firsts. Let's engage in some spellmaking. So here's a UI we have not yet seen. Let's go over all the parts of it. Name. Name you give the spell. Point cost. Amount of magicka one cast of the spell will cost. Spell chance. The chance you have to cast the spell at your current skill level. Magic effects. Magic effects that you can add to a spell. Effects. Current effects on the spell. And price. How much gold the spell will cost you. Now to clarify, that's not for every cast, it's just to create the spell, because Fedar is going to create a custom spell. These magic effects over here are derived from the spells that Fedar knows. Now, these are not the spells themselves. They are the effects of the spells that Fedar knows. For example, Fedar just learned the light spell. It has a magnitude, a duration, a target, and a radius. But none of that matters here. It's all stripped away. This is just the light effect. When we engage in spellmaking, we get to customize all of those parameters. So let's do it. Let's click light. And now we see this. And some values have started to fill in under point cost, spell chance, and price. We'll look at those in just a second. Let's take a look at this new window here. We see range. What the spell is directed at, such as yourself, a target, or who you touch. Magnitude. the range of a spell's power. Duration, the length a spell lasts. And area, the radius the spell attempts to affect. Well, let's see. We see that a touch attack could have a magnitude of 5 to 10. We'll talk about that in a second. A duration of 109 seconds. And those are hour seconds, not game seconds, not the Morrowind world seconds. So, if I picked 120, we're talking about this lasting for 2 minutes. And area. So that's that splash that we saw earlier. Okay, as I'm doing this, the price and the point cost and the spell chance are all changing. Well, not the point cost and the spell chance, interestingly enough. Not for area. There we go. Duration, yes. Right, well, we wouldn't want it to be a touch spell. That doesn't make any sense. That was my whole complaint. And similarly, if I skip past self, same with target. Like, sure, I could shoot it at somebody or the wall, but again, that's the problem with the current light spell as it is. So we are going to use self. Now, there are 2 magnitude sliders, and that's because one of them is the minimum, one of them is the maximum. This can get pretty chaotic. It's a great way to make it easier to cast the spell, but you don't know what you're going to get. I mean, if I said that the magnitude could go from 1 to 100, and I cast this spell, I have no way of knowing how much light to expect from that. I could get the equivalent of a candle, this little or I could get something that is essentially a star. That is way too chaotic for me. I'm not into that. I want to be very specific about what I'm casting. So, I'm going to specify that the magnitude will be 10. And I do that by setting both the minimum and the maximum to 10. Duration. Well, that was one of my other complaints, right? I was like, this only lasted a couple seconds. Well, let's do something about that. But first, let's look at the point cost and spell chance. So it costs 1 magicka to cast as is, which kind of tracks because what we're saying is you get 1 second of a little bit of light. Right? A spell chance, 96%. It's going to work every time. But this just doesn't really do much for me. Let's crank up that duration. I'm thinking 300 seconds. That's 5 minutes. There have been some profound adjustments because of that. The point cost is now 30. That's pretty much half of Fedar's magicka as things stand right now, because he's not the most proficient mage. He will be, but he's been working on other areas of personal growth, right? So this comes later. The spell chance, well, it was 96%, it's now 67%, so 2 out of 3 will probably work. And the price has increased substantially as well. It's now 210 gold to purchase. That's really not a big deal. Fedar is rolling in it. So let's go ahead and choose these parameters. All right, light 10 points for 300 seconds on self. And we have to give it a name. Since it's meant to replace torches, I'm going to call it Torchlight. I realize there is a game called Torchlight. I don't really know anything about it, so this is not a reference or anything. I just want to call my spell Torchlight. All right, let's do it. And there we go. Fedar now knows Torchlight. The UI lied a little bit and said there would only be a 67% chance of success. It's apparently 84%. I'm not sure why that is. It did get the point cost right, though. It will cost 30 points of magicka to cast this spell. Let's cast it. Nice. And you could see that the kind of green puffy stuff was around Fedar, not anybody else. So it's a little janky. I don't think this is how physics usually works. The light's like boom, 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 boom as you move. But that's going to be on for 5 minutes, and it's pretty good. I'd say this is better than a torch. Look at that.
If there's
Welcome.
anything I can
If you
do,
wish to
I am
talk,
humbly at your service.
Is it the best ever? No, but it's an improvement.
This
Oh,
is a
greetings.
wondrous
How do you
encounter.
do?
Welcome.
Maybe talk?
Kind of eliminates Fedar's ability to be stealthy, I would say. But we'll worry about that later. So, yeah, and of course, it has used up what little magicka reserves Fedar had at the time of casting. But that's okay, you know, as long as you can get some rest, it'll be fine. Now that we've dipped our toe into spellmaking, there's another spell I would like to craft. Now, we've got these restore attribute spells, 4 of them right now: endurance, intelligence, luck, and willpower. Of course, there are 8 attributes, so if, say, Fedar's strength is damaged, well, he's up a creek without a paddle. He'd either have to use a potion or get his butt to an Imperial Shrine. How about we resolve that? Let's talk to Estradalen.
Welcome. If you wish to talk, it is really no trouble at all.
Now, as you'll recall, these are the effects, not the spells themselves. So it's interesting that we don't see restore endurance, restore intelligence, restore luck, or restore willpower, the ones that we know we already have. We just see restore attribute. If one of a subject's attributes has been reduced by magical attack, the effect can restore the attribute to its original value. Only strength, intelligence, willpower, agility, speed, endurance, personality, and luck are affected. The magnitude is the units of attribute restored for each second of duration. Interesting. So if I click this, all 8 are available. So you probably see where I'm going with this. I'm going to say, hey, you know what? I would love to restore strength. Okay, and I say, no, not on somebody else. On myself. How much? I don't know. 10 points sounds healthy. For 1 second. So far, that's going to cost 1 magicka. There is an 80% chance of success, and the price is negligible. But why stop there? How about we also restore intelligence? 10 points. So yes, I'm going to go through all 8 of them, which will effectively eliminate attribute damage as a challenge in this game. Why shouldn't I? Morrowind lets you do this. It's not cheating, it's just being smart. I love this stuff. This is something, this kind of stuff is one of the reasons that I feel Oblivion and Skyrim do not hold a candle to Morrowind. And we finish it up with luck. Morrowind really just, it takes off the training wheels and says, hey, do whatever, you know. So there we go. 10 points of each attribute. It costs 8 points of magicka to cast. And Fedar's got a 73% chance of success. So, 3/4. Fantastic. Let's just call this Restore Attributes. It's going to cost a whole 57 gold, too. Got it. Let's see. Well, right now, Fedar's got a 0% chance of casting that successfully, but let's take a nap and get his magicka back. So now, if he needed to cast that, there's a 91% chance of success. That's better than what the UI told us, once again. So there's that. Alright, well, like I said, we are going to advance the plot now. Yes, I'm getting to it. So let's take care of a few things. Torches are great. We're going to keep a few of them around, but each weighs 3. That's heavy. So let's ditch 5 of them and get back some carrying capacity. Additionally, I'm going to sell some spell scrolls.
If there's anything I can do, I am humbly at your service.
Alright, Galbadir, let's see. Yeah, I don't think Fedar needs quite so many scrolls of Ikash's lock splitter. How many would you like to purchase? We can try for a max sale. I don't know about this. Oh, it worked! That's awesome. More points for Mercantile. And there's something I need to pick up.
You flatter.
Down in the Fighters Guild. Been holding on to this for a while. Guide to Vivec. Oh yes, it's happening. Let's take that. And get on out of here.
Should you need something, I will be...
Yeah, here the Silt Strider. And speaking of the Silt Strider,
We make a special trip just for you. Same low price.
Fedar could go straight to Vivec from here. Nice, easy trip on the Silt Strider. But I'm going to take the scenic route. Because it's a nice day out. Well, I think it is. It's nice and overcast, so I appreciate it. What? Fedar feels like a jog. Yeah, this is before the days of fast travel, as it is now. I mean, sure, you can go to a Silt Strider, or a boat, or a guild guide. There are ways to get where you're going without actually having to do the work yourself. And while I appreciate that, I also appreciate the Isle of Vardenfell. And since we're doing storyline stuff, I mean, why not? Why not go there and see all the sights along the way? We've pretty much made this trip before. Once we get to a certain spot, had we turned right instead of left, we would have visited Vivec. Yeah, these days you can fast travel from anywhere. From here, I could bring up the, like in Oblivion or Skyrim, I could bring up the UI and say, oh, you know what? I want to go to this settlement and or cave or whatever on the map, right? And as long as you've been there before, that's the difference. As long as you've been there, it will allow it. In Morrowind, can't do that, but you can go places you've never been. We just demonstrated that by popping over to the Mages Guild in Caldera and then heading back. So it's a little different. And I think I prefer this way. It might take longer in general, but I don't know, I feel like the way they do fast travel in games today really breaks immersion, because it is essentially teleportation to anywhere from anywhere. And you've got little markers on your map telling you exactly where to go.
Back in my day, the game would tell you gotta go 4 minutes down this road until you find a really weird-looking tree. And once you're there, you turn back around and walk 10 paces, and you know what? I've forgotten.
So things have changed, and there's something to be said for the old ways. Let's check the map, because we just passed Pelagiad. Okay, we are over halfway there. That's Balmora. There's Vivec. Fast approaching. Combat is afoot. Not really. No, it's not. Not to worry. Although we might have to deal with this Quama Forager. Serious business. Oh, you caught up. Okay, well. Good job. There's old Valor Salvu. Our resident Redneck Dunmer. I'm from Texas. I say that with love. But yeah, this is all pretty familiar because we have made this particular trip before. But once we reached this area, we went that way. This time, we're going to Vivec. It sure is nice that Fedar's this fast. Oh, and we can see the canton slowly rendering into view there, becoming visible. Yeah, that's not all of Vivec. There are 8 of these and a palace. It's a big place. We could have taken the Silt Strider. We would have ended up here. But we had an enjoyable little run instead, and I think that's nice. Here we are at the Foreign Quarter Canton of Vivec. We'll start looking around in the next video. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you then.